Welcome to Belize Electricity Limited's Community Awards for 2020. This is a new initiative and a very interesting one where we spotlight people working in the community. Joining me for this conversation to make sure that you understand exactly what is happening from a BEL perspective is Vonetta Burrell, Manager for Corporate Communications.
We are very excited to be able to showcase to our Belizeans several organizations that have been working hand in hand with BEL, and of course, of their own volition, they have been doing wonders in their communities across Belize. So we wanted to highlight them, create a platform for them to extend their messaging throughout Belize by making sure that everybody from Corozal to Toledo and the Keys understand who's out there making a difference and what these organizations are all about and why it is that we believe that they need to be showcased and put in the spotlight. What we had been doing throughout this year is making sure that we were constantly researching opportunities to support new initiatives, especially those that have been focusing on health, education, human welfare, and in particular, national security. And it is a symbiotic relationship in that at the core of BEL's mission is our commitment to making sure that in everything we do, we're helping to enhance the quality of life for Belizeans throughout this country. So the organizations that we are spotlighting today are just a few. There are several, and every month, every week, we are in touch with new entities. People reach out to us. Some people are referred to us. We are fully committed to making sure that we are aware who is out there, who is helping, what are their causes, what are their needs. We might not be able to help everybody financially, but our employees, our BEL family of employees are committed to touching lives. They help with volunteering. They also contribute financially to some of these organizations, especially in the Christmas season. We have our 20-year tradition actually this year, which is our Christmas hamper drive. It's the 20th year. That's an initiative that's originated from our employees' own pockets. They decided that they wanted to help. So it's just a part of our culture within BEL to always reach out into the community. We are across this country. We have branches throughout Belize. We have customers throughout Belize. And our employees represent several communities, rural, urban, all types of cultures. So we have to make sure that in everything that we do, we're supporting what they also represent and the things that are meaningful to them. So we're using this platform today to bring awareness to these organizations and these individuals.
Now, let's get into our program for today because I think the stories are compelling. And we'd like to encourage you to sit down with your families, especially the younger members of your families, and look at the exemplary work that is happening out there. Volunteerism, some people argue, may be dead, but it's not in Belize. And this program proves that there are a lot of people out there doing extraordinary things on an ordinary day.
The Ariel Rosado Foundation was established in March of 2013. It was established after the death of Ariel Rosado, a young cyclist. He had just completed his last studies and unfortunately he got into a vehicle accident and basically died as a result of the accident. His parents decided that to honor their son, because being young and knowing that he loves cycling, they decided to launch a foundation and using cycling as a means to generate revenues to support the foundation. The foundation is basically there to help kids, young kids, trying to encourage them in education, keeping their education, and enjoy sports, and using that as a means to better themselves as members of the community. So what we do, we offer scholarship to needy kids. They don't have to be A students, but the idea of trying to pass, ensuring that they pass to get an education, because a basic education is what is needed to help develop yourself within the community. So we offer a scholarship to kids throughout the entire country of Belize, from primary school, high school and tertiary level with a collaboration through Galen University. So that's what we're here to do. We encourage sports in terms of cycling as our premier. We have a cycling team that we were sponsoring up until the COVID time in Orange Walk Town. Some years back we were doing the regatta in reference to the kids who were participating in that sports every March that is there. We had kids, we were supporting kids in that endeavor as well.
BAPDA is an advocacy and a referral organization. We've been around since 1985. We had gone dormant and then we re-emerged in 2009. Officially, we had started out as the Belize Assembly for Persons with Disabilities, and then we had changed the name and added diverse abilities. And so at this point, what BAPDA does is, additional to advocating, we would have support meetings for our members once a month, before COVID, of course. And at those meetings, what we would do is invite in different personnel to talk about the different services that is being referred from our partner agencies. And example, like for Life organization is for senior citizens, with human development for the government assistance. When it comes to Inspiration Center or NARCI, when it comes to kids with special needs. And so BAPDA partners with a lot of organizations and associations, both locally and internationally. We have a membership of 500 and plus. And today what we're about is reaching out to our members that will be so happy for the donation of hams and turkey. We've sent out over 50 donation letters, but it's COVID and you know everybody is crying on hard times, and so we're so thankful that BEL recognized us and actually agreed and approved our donation. And so what BAPDA does is try to connect our members with the different services that is being offered within the country. BAPDA this year, we did our first project with the United States Embassy, with Belize Association of Planners and RTI, Research Triangle International out of Europe. And in those first 6 months of this year, what we were able to do was to put together a cabinet note. And what BAPDA is advocating for persons with disabilities in Belize is first for the cabinet to recognize us as citizens, to do data mapping, additionally to put budget towards supplemental income for persons with disabilities that are unable to be employed, and also to implement the United Nations Conventions on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And what BAPDA recently did this week, we made a historical move. We had our first national meeting forming the Commonwealth Disabled Peoples Forum. The Commonwealth Disabled Peoples Forum is an advocating agency for the United Nations Conventions on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And Belize signed and ratified that convention in 2011. And so what BAPDA is inviting health organizations to partner with us for is to push forward having the government put budget allocations towards implementing services for persons with disabilities through the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. So we've been doing a lot, even though COVID has been holding us back on certain things. It's been a learning experience. Through COVID, some of our members have gotten assistance, and so what we do is to try to implement more connections with the different agencies so that more of our members are getting assistance. Presently, even as I said, we have a huge membership. The outreach is going out to like maybe 150 the most. And so of course there's still a great need of persons with disabilities that is not being reached as yet.
The Belize Diabetes Association was formed in 1991. It was formed by a group of concerned persons who have noticed the rise of diabetes in Belize. You know, diabetes is one of those non-communicable diseases that many times people don't really pay attention to because the signs and symptoms of diabetes are not visible. And many people, you know, live with diabetes and sometimes they don't even know that they have diabetes. And so when the association was formed, it was formed to help address the concerns and needs of these persons who are living with diabetes. And so over the years, we have developed different branches. We have branches in Corozal, in Punta Gorda, in Belmopan, Dangriga, and in Belize City. So we have 4 branches, and these branches, they have also have members. So they reach out to the community, and they form a group of persons who are living with diabetes, or also persons who we call sponsors or supporters. So we do have sponsors and we do have supporters of persons living with diabetes working with our various branches. You know, diabetes, they say, is a silent killer. And in Belize, diabetes is the second leading cause of death in Belize. And diabetes will affect your eyes, diabetes will affect your kidneys, diabetes will affect your lower limbs, many times, you know, resulting in amputations for persons. And so diabetes management really needs to have a support team. The Diabetes Association has a diabetes self-care management program. This program was started 2 years ago, and the project is aiming to help persons who are currently living with diabetes to help them in their management of their diabetes. Like I mentioned, the management of diabetes really needs a support team. And our project is a project that works with a number of people. We take their baseline measurements. Periodically, we would ensure that they get their supplies. We ensure that they do their A1C testing. And we also provide some sort of counseling and check-in with them to ensure that they are being able to manage their diabetes, especially during this time of COVID-19.
While we have been talking about organizations that are doing great things, BEL also has the opportunity and takes the opportunity to support the arts, and that's critical for me. This band, TLC, hails from Orange Walk, and they'll be providing all the entertainment that you'll see today. But this is critical for BEL because of their love for the arts as well. Right, Vanetta?
Yes, definitely. Like I said, this is all about Belize. So we love to support the arts. That's something that we remain committed to as well. And anything that's about building Belize, we are also looking out for small businesses. We know that 2020 has been a challenge for the entire business sector, and in particular smaller businesses. So we are also investigating ways in which we can support that sector at this time. And we're starting with the arts.
Making magic, shoot music, tight there.
You gotta be in your soul.
Alongside Julissa, Misfit, so we tell them, let's go.
Sometimes it seems like you got everything you want.
What you want in a life?
Sometimes it seems like you got everything you need.
What you need,
But there's that something that's been missing from inside.
Listen.
And it's that magic, it's that feeling, it's that vibe. When your rhythm take you high, you come alive.
And you can find this feeling.
You feel alive and wanna fly.
You can find this feeling.
Just feel the vibe and let it ride.
You can find this feeling.
You gotta know to let it go.
Let it go.
You know you can't fight it.
Fight it.
You know you can't hide it.
Hide it.
And you gotta let them know. No, no. You know you can't fight it.
Find it.
You know you can't hide it. And you gotta let them know.
Misfit, so we tell them, music hits so you feel no pain. Turn up the big tune again and again. Party time, yes, we gone insane. A straight rubber dub, yes, we can't complain. Best thing for meditation, recreation, makes you feel no pain. It's like a love potion, don't really matter the occasion.
When the rhythm take you high, you come alive.
You can find this feeling.
You feel alive and wanna fly.
You can find this feeling.
Just feel the vibe and let it ride.
You can find this feeling.
You gotta know to let it go.
Let it go.
You know you can't fight it. You know you can't hide it.
Hide it.
And you gotta let them know. No, no. You know you can't fight it.
Fight it.
You know you can't hide it.
Don't
And
try
you
to
gotta
hide
let
it.
them know. When the rhythm take you high, you come alive.
You can find this feeling.
You feel alive and wanna fly.
You can find this feeling.
Just feel the vibe and let it ride.
You can find this feeling.
You gotta know
Yo,
to
drum
let
up
it go.
price when we tell them misfit. Music hits so you feel no pain.
Yeah.
Turn up the big tune again and again. Party vibe, yes, we gone insane. Straight rubber dub, yes, we can't complain.
Okay.
Best thing for meditation, recreation, makes you feel no pain. It's like a love potion, don't really matter the occasion.
When the rhythm take you
as a result of COVID-19, everything got shut down. So it impacted a lot of people in a lot of different ways. A lot of people were getting food advice and as well as exercise and things like that, and free from Jen's Health Hut. So I have a friend, Jessica Holly. She started a Cayo mutual aid at that time. So with her, we started giving out groceries. So we were actually buying out of our own pockets all big bags of groceries, because what we realized, a lot of people were really struggling, being that so many people rely on tourism here. So we started finding out who needed stuff, going back in the bush in different areas, and we started taking bags of groceries. But that became really expensive. So by August, we were out of money. So then what happened is people started contacting me, and they're like, look, can you just bring me a plate? Anything, just bring me a plate. So I was like, you know what, okay, you know what, we can do that. Let's do that instead of trying to take everyone, because we were buying bags of apples and pineapples and fruits and vegetables on top of rice and beans and everything else. So we said, let's do that. Let's start making dishes. Since we can't afford anymore to take groceries, let's do that. So then we started Cayo Soup Kitchen. But then within no time, we started getting donations, and BEL was one of them. They said, hey, I see your post every week, and where are you getting the money from? I was like, out of my own pocket. We're just trying to feed whomever we can, and just make it a little easier because we're all in this together.
I was helping with food and stuff like that. Jen was helping with food and stuff like that. So eventually we just combined both. So I started assisting Jen, and that way we were able to reach a bigger group of people. Knowing that I was able to help other people, it just, like you said, it's just self-satisfying. Not really for me, but just knowing that somebody out there actually has a meal, or is not going to bed. I didn't even know that Kaio had so many homeless people until we started doing this. So just being able to help other people, that in itself is rewarding for me.
We're taking it to people. We station ourselves in front of election and boundaries now, and we give it out to a lot of people. But then we go and we drive around to the people that we know that can't, and we take them the meals for their family, and they'll come needing 10 plates or 5, 10 plates, and we give them the meals. And so that's how we got started. There are people in need, and we need to work together. We got to eliminate that greed mentality, because there's no reason why I should have enough to feed 40 people and I won't share. That makes no sense.
Well, the food pantry started as the Caye Caulker Soup Kitchen kind of phased out back in October. We were lucky enough to get funding through the Caye Caulker Strong program, which is funded by the Denver Foundation. And so we moved from the soup kitchen, which was giving hot meals to people who needed help feeding themselves, to giving grocery bags out once a week. We've been running for 9 weeks at this point. We've given just over 2,000, well, as of today, we will go quite a ways over 2,000 bags. And we feed around over 600 to 650, and maybe this week over 650 people a week with these grocery bags. I think generally everyone is thankful that there is something that is kind of a safety net out there. This island has been hit, as everyone knows, terribly hard by this pandemic because of the high level of dependency on tourism, so for employment. So there are a lot of families in need, there are a lot of individuals in need, and this is an assistance program, and it takes the pressure off in other places too.
For the guys we had, it was a welcome income for them. They were out of work since March the 23rd. Although it was a small amount of money, it was something that they felt they needed to do for their family, and it took them out of the boredom that they were experiencing and all the other emotional distress that came with the COVID-19. Like I said, some worked for a day because it wasn't their type of work. As you all know, it was a cleanup program. We took the advantage of it and took an entire cleanup from trash to seagrass to large items. allowing the residents to cut their trees down. So we took a time for Caye Caulker to clean up. So we made a positive impact on both the personnel that got the income and also the residents that was able to use the program to their advantage.
Well, it's great to be part of a community, and Caye Caulker is a very strong community and a small community, and I think in any situation, you know, when you give, you know, it just helps. It helps the mood just generally within yourself and within the community, because it means that everyone's coming together. I mean, the soup kitchen back when it started used the slogan, "It takes a village to feed a village," and I think that's really where we're at, and people feel that we're a village that are bonding together to create a better community and a community that can last through this horrible time.
When COVID hit and people were starting to leave, so many jobs are based on tourism. We had met a family at Driftwood. I'm the owner of Driftwood in Hopkins, and there was a family that had come and loved Hopkins so much, Talbot G and his family. And when this happened, they basically left within a couple days of everybody leaving and the country emptying of our tourists. So they contacted Asiatic, who then contacted me and the chairman about trying to pull together something. So in the early weeks, they were doing a distribution and of food, and they realized how much need there was. And so trying to organize a little bit better and have more help. So we started to organize a volunteer team. Isabel McMillan, Asiatic, myself, the village council, with our councilman and our chairman, Mr. Augustin. We brought Dirk aboard from Hopkins on Cut, and we started taking in applications, creating a database, and it was an emergency response really for the first few weeks because there were so many people that were out of work. So we started to design the packages, and we had about 350 people apply. 350 families apply. So we were at about 1,500 people, and we were doing that on a 2-week rotation. So the first few weeks were three days a week, and then we scaled it down to 2 days a week. And then as we started to notice that we were able to get better faster, because obviously buying in bulk, we'd have to package everything, portion it, which was quite a big job. So we got a little bit faster at that. We got better at and faster at distributing it and getting it out to the people in need. We had a lot of people come to the food bank, which we were fortunate enough to have the building from Hopkins Village Council donated to us, as well as help of the Village Council.
As a resident of Hopkins, it's a huge community, so I don't know everyone. The Village Council does, so we started to distribute the food. It takes a bit of coordination, and especially with COVID around, you had to be very careful with how you interact with people. But so far, knock on wood, no one from the food bank has caught COVID. We are happy about that, and Hopkins, the COVID hasn't been in here that much, but I'm glad that people are receiving food.
The people that are here helping, it's huge. It's the amount of love and hope getting through a time like we're going through. It's quite good. Thank you to everyone that has supported us, has come out and donated their time, because trust me, there was a lot of time involved and a lot of work, and our volunteers. We couldn't have done it without our volunteers, and we couldn't have done it without our donors.
Vanetta, this has been an eye-opener for me as well. I had no idea there was a food bank in Belize, and of all places, Hopkins Food Bank. Tell me a little bit about that.
William Hopkins Food Bank is a true community organization. They are their brother's keepers. What they do is they provide support to anybody in Hopkins who is in need. It could be families, it could be after a disaster. We came to know about them after the hurricane had passed. While our teams were doing restoration work for the damages to our system, we realized that there were some households that were affected. Hopkins Food Bank came to us and let us know, okay, during the pandemic there was a team who had been collecting grocery items to take care of families, and these same families had been affected by the hurricane and they would need our support. This pandemic is similar to a disaster. People have been helping their neighbors with groceries, and they've been doing it so consistently that some people have formed teams. That's an example of how the food bank came about. So we just want to encourage everybody that it doesn't take a lot for you to start your own initiative, and sometimes all it requires is reaching out and getting the word out, and that's what we hope to achieve today. By showcasing just some of these organizations, we hope that others become more known and more prominent in communities, because they should feel confident that they will get the support. It doesn't necessarily have to be from BEL, but other people will support them.
In life, you gotta hold on. You gotta stay strong. No matter the fight, the obstacles, everything shall come to pass. Message from the TLC band. Time is hard, but we still holding on. The road is rough, but we still carry on. We not let go, we holding strong. Despite the obstacles, we are overcome. We not let go, we holding strong. This sadness and tears we shall overcome. 'Cause we are fighters, yes we are. Oh, we are warriors, true Jaja warriors, yes we are. Belize, come on and celebrate in thanks and holy faith. Tomorrow's a brand new day, showing we stress away. Come on and celebrate in thanks and holy faith. Tomorrow's a brand new day, showing we stress away. Say yeah, 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 aha. Say yeah, 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 aha. So many people living in the streets. Whoa, single mothers trying to make ends meet. Message here. We not let go, we holding strong. Despite the obstacles, we are overcome. Don't let go, hold on strong. Yeah, 'cause we are fighters. Yes, we are fighters. Yes, we are. Whoa, and we are warriors. True Jaja warriors. Yes, we are. Yeah, come on and celebrate in thanks and holy faith. Tomorrow's a brand new day, showing we stress away. Come on and celebrate in thanks and holy faith. Tomorrow's a brand new day, showing we stress away. Say yeah, 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 aha. Say yeah, 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 aha. Holding on, we still holding on, holding on, holding on, holding on. We still holding on, holding on. Come on and celebrate in thanks and holy faith. Tomorrow's a brand new day, showing we stress away. Come on and celebrate in thanks and holy faith. Tomorrow's a brand new day, showing we stress away. Say yeah, yeah. Say yeah, yeah. Say yeah, yeah. Aha. Say yeah, 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 yeah,
The pandemic of 2020 has made COVID-19 a household name, but along with that has been the name of Dr. Marvin Manzanero. Everybody knows that he has been one of the people that people trust and respect and turn to during this health crisis.
Dr. Manzanero was somebody that BEL turned to for guidance at the onset of the pandemic, and we also turned to him to check with the ministry's standing, is there anything that you need? Because we recognize that they had a massive task at hand. So in March, when it was declared a pandemic, we reached out to Dr. Manzanero, and he was very willing and very open with us to let us know, okay, these are the things that BEL can support the ministry with acquiring to make sure that we can meet the needs of the health sector. So we recognize all his work, the work of his team. We also interacted with his team as well, and we know that for him to achieve what he did, it had to require the full support of a dedicated team. So the entire network, the entire team at the Ministry of Health who supported Dr. Manzanero and who have been successful throughout this year in making sure that Belizeans are updated, making sure that Belizeans understand what's happening with the spread of the disease and the prevention methods. We recognize them, we honor them, and we want them to know that we will continue to support them because we value their work and we value their love and dedication for all Belizeans.
Well, as you all know, that in late December, the first case of COVID-19, then called the coronavirus, novel coronavirus, had been identified. And Belize and the Ministry of Health quickly got into action in the first month of 2020 in January. In fact, on January 18th, 2020, we first placed 2 nurses at the Belize, the Philip Goldson International Airport. And I must say that from that point on to now, it has been definitely a non-stop, a continuous work by the Ministry of Health and Wellness and our team on the ground. I genuinely, truly feel that we at the Ministry of Health and Wellness, we have an incredible group of 3,000 plus persons all over the country in many aspects of care. As I'd mentioned before, our paramedics, our lab techs, our doctors, nurses, domestics, security, drivers, everybody has really played a significant part in helping for us to continue to fight against this virus. And our resilient group have been able to really get up and go to work every single day with all these uncertainties, because of course, we do know that we have vulnerable populations working with the Ministry of Health. And we have had a team who have been able to continue to provide care, 24-hour service, and are willing to learn. So I do want to say a sincere thank you to all our team on the ground who have continued to work, especially over the Christmas season, and continue to be open to learning and to making changes as the need arises.
The year 2020 has certainly been a learning experience from both a personal and a professional standpoint. Professionally speaking, we are going into a year of tracking an evolving virus and the resulting disease, COVID-19. It has certainly proved challenging in many aspects, and it has placed and mandated that frontline workers evolve and respond differently as more and more is known about COVID-19. We in Belize are now going into our 10th month since our first case, and now any new case and death that occur take a toll on all of us. COVID-19 is therefore proving to be unpredictable and unforgiving in many aspects. As we learn of evolving unexpected mutations, we are reminded that as a community, we must continue to remain cautious, vigilant, and at all times be mindful of the key messages such as physical distancing, wearing a mask properly and consistently, proper hand washing, and avoid the touching of our faces. While vaccines do bring a glimmer of hope for all of us, we have to learn to live with COVID-19. From a personal standpoint, And while still very much in this slow recovery process of COVID-19, I can say that I'm forever thankful for all the messages, prayers, thoughts, and ongoing support that continue to be sent my way. It certainly helps. COVID-19, I can tell you, has taken a physical, a mental, an emotional toll on me. And while it continues to be a daily struggle, I am hopeful that together we all will overcome this in Belize. I really do want to wish that everybody remains safe. I really do wish that nobody has to go through what I have been through. I want to make a call to everybody to just stay safe. Do take care of your loved ones and do give them all the support that they need, because this is surely a long battle that we will have to undertake and continue to undertake as we move along into 2021. Also, I think in terms of the response that we have had as a community, as a country, I have to always remember that in terms of BEL being one of the lead entities who actually reached out to us as a Ministry of Health back in February this year, one of the first entities before we really engage into any meaningful educational process. I do recall BEL being one of the entities that reached out to us and said, how can we be a part of this? How can we be ensuring that our human resources are taken care of? And I think our communication with BEL, from the Ministry of Health standpoint, was always a constant, positive one. Professionally, we have to thank you for the response and the willingness to support our response. I am being told briefly that you're wishing to recognize the efforts. I can't thank you much, because I think what I was doing is in the line of duty of what is expected from me. Unfortunately, COVID-19, while dealing with it, has taken me out for the most part of December. But I'm thankful for BEL for the support that you have given the Ministry of Health, and for the support you actually gave, I think, all of your staff at your headquarters and across the country, in ensuring that they were always kept abreast with the information as we moved along. I thank you.
We certainly appreciate the opportunity during this COVID period to have a space where people can remember, the citizens can remember that the BCS continues to work. The Belize Cancer Society continues to work. Our work at the Belize Cancer Society, the work consists of so many facets. Apart from, of course, our branches who work in their own local area on initiatives and working with people, here at the Belize branch of the Belize Cancer Society, we have been going full speed ahead despite the fact that we have had to limit interaction with the public and limit our public education that we normally carry out through the year. Nevertheless, we've had a few webinars, Zoom meetings with our members, and we interact on a daily basis supporting persons affected by cancer. We receive many phone calls, and what we do, we act as navigators, patient navigators. We listen to their concerns, we invite them in, or we ask them to send their particulars, and we direct them to resources. We work very closely with the Belize Cancer Center in Dangriga, very closely with Dr. Grant, Nurse DeLone, Sister Obi, and the others at the center, either with chemotherapy, working to get people through radiation therapy, or working with children. This year, the Belize Cancer Society has been collaborating with the oncologists and country oncologists, pediatricians, and other health professionals in providing what we call intrathecal infusions. It's really administering chemotherapy through the spine for children. Normally, the children would be traveling to Merida, a hospital Oran, for that treatment. They still do, but quite a number of the children have been spared that trauma and the risk. And so we do that every 6 weeks or so. We arrange that and have children go to a private institution supported by the Belize Cancer Center, Dangriga, and others to have their procedures done. Highly successful. So I guess in the time of COVID, you do what you have to do to make it work. So we've got to do better as a country in screening, prevention, so that we can detect cancer early. And we as a country nationally must address a national cancer plan where all institutions are focused on that plan in terms of having a coordinated response to use all the scarce resources efficiently for the benefit of our people.
HelpAge Belize has been in existence since 1984, and we work with the older person population. Those are persons 6 years and over. And we have branches across the length and breadth of this country. And that includes 9 day activity centers and 2 residential homes. It's important to note that our aim is to support older persons to age with dignity. And basically, what does that mean? We focus on some of their basic fundamental needs that look at nutritional support, that looks at health and wellness, physical, mental, and physical wellness. To ensure that those needs are met, we have programs to keep them active. Programs like exercise sessions, games, outings, and those things, they come together. So it facilitates, it reduces social isolation. They can interact. And to ensure their wellness is being addressed, we have partnered with all government institutions, health institutions, so that they can access services and treatment. When it comes to the nutritional component, across the country we offer food packages, monthly food packages, Meals on Wheels. In some sites, we do it twice per week or once per week. And it's important to note that we are not able to do it alone. We do it in partnerships with the government of Belize, who offer us monthly subvention. We have various businesses and organizations that support us. Business like Belize Electricity Limited. We have Grace Kennedy that offers us support. And we have local and international individuals that give us support. And HelpAge will not be able to do it alone. We have to work in partnership.
Been a very good girl this year. Santa, don't be just one thing I want to ask of you. I would give anything to see my sweet baby underneath my Christmas tree, under my Christmas tree, under my Christmas tree. I don't need a diamond ring and all those fancy things. Just bring my baby back to me. All I want for Christmas is my baby. 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 Santa, make my wishes come true. All I want for Christmas is you. Santa, make my wishes come true. All I want for Christmas is you. Hey, hey, hey. All I want for Christmas. It's Christmas time. I'm Jackie Castillo. Hey, hey, hey. Been a very good girl this year. Santa, don't be late. Bring my darling here. I've been waiting all through the year. Oh, on Christmas Day, make my true love appear. My true love appear. My true love appear. I don't need a diamond ring and all those fancy things. Just bring my baby back to me. All I want for Christmas is my baby. 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 Santa, make my wishes come true. All I want for Christmas is you. Santa, make my wishes come true. All I want for Christmas is you.
A lot of the stories have been talking about volunteerism and how important that is. But we also have people in the spotlight who are executing their daily job duties with excellence. One such example is the compul, Chester Williams. Vanetta, why highlight someone like Compul Williams?
We have had a long-term relationship with the entire department, and especially under the leadership of Commissioner Williams, we've been able to support some of their programs geared towards enhancing the level of national security. Mr. Williams has been right there with BEL throughout 2020, making sure that we're able to continue delivering service to our customers. Our teams have been able to operate freely with the protection of the department, and we are truly grateful because it has enabled us to ensure that we can continue to deliver safe, reliable service to our customers across Belize. Of course, within the regulations, within the curfew regulations, but we make sure that we maintain that relationship, we maintain that dialogue with the commissioner and his department, and we've been able to benefit from it just as much as they have been able to benefit from our technical support over the years. One of the teams that we want to make special mention of within the police department is the Community Policing Unit and also the Youth Cadet Corps. Those two arms of the police department reflect all the things that BEL is recognizing today. They are there for our young people, they are there for our communities, and they always work on the basis of establishing and maintaining good relationships. It's not an easy job in normal circumstances, much less during a pandemic. So this is our way of telling him, we see you, we recognize you, we applaud you, and we will continue to support you and the entire police department.
Well, first and foremost, let me give thanks to the Almighty and thanks to BEL for recognizing me in such a capacity. As the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of this country, I believe that my role is to ensure that the laws of the country are executed, and that when we do so, it is done in a more fair and impartial manner, and that everybody are treated equal before the law. Since I became the Commissioner of Police, the first 8 months of my tenure was not too bad. And then in the second year came COVID. And as much as we had many things planned with a view to ensure that we make our country more safer, COVID has COVID came and disrupted most of our plans. But despite that, we still found innovative ways to ensure that we reach out to the public in a way we should, and most importantly, that we execute our duties to the best of our ability with a view to ensure that we keep the people of our country safe. Traditionally, people have always seen the police as that agent of the state that engages in taking away your liberty by way of arrest. Well, for me, I see the police differently. I see the police as enforcers of the law, and I interpret the word enforcers in its literal or its liberal sense, in that in enforcing the law, it does not mean that you must always be arresting people. It also means that we are to educate people, we are to see what we can do to help people so that they don't break the law. And if it is that we can do education in a broader sense, then we'll see less and less people breaking the law, and that still amounts to enforcement of the law. And again, as a police officer, I believe that we are not only about arresting people, but we must also see ourselves as teachers, we must see ourselves as caregivers, we must see ourselves as counselors, as advisors, because on a daily basis we're confronted with many situations, and people do expect that whenever they come to us that we will be in a position to see how we can help them. And for me, as much as sometimes people would say, well, you know, the police should just leave them bad while they kill out themselves. Yes, that might sound good to some people, but the truth is, if we live in a world where we see people destroying themselves and we have the willpower to help them to do better, and we just sit aside and watch, then we are no better than those persons. And so I always believe that as a police, we must do as best as we can with a view to see how we can intervene and change the lives of people. My policing experience, as well as the police officers who work with me, and other entities to see what we can do to help, what we can do to change the minds and hearts of these young men, to let them realize that the best gun you can have in life is love. If you gun someone with love, man, it will be so amazing. As opposed to gunning someone down with a bullet. Once you squeeze the trigger of that gun and the bullet is gone, you cannot take it back. And so that is what I always try to do, to see how we can reach out to our younger population and try to make them understand that there is a better way to life than violence.
Here in Belize, hand in hand, this is the first external office that has been opened by the organization. We're actually, our home office is in Louisville, Kentucky, and we've been in operation since 1999. Here in Belize, we opened our office here in 2002, so it's 18 years going, and you know, God has been good. God has been very generous with us. We have been able to grow our programs here in Belize to 3 basic programs that we have. We have a scholarship program where we provide scholarship assistance for 21 high school students. We have a Building for Change program where we build modest houses for people in need, families in need actually, houses that become a home for these families. Actually, we've just completed our 422nd house with Heritage Bank, locally built. And we also have an outreach program. And this outreach program, we started it in 2006. And we are the first and only organization in the country that provides holistic care and support for the infected child, HIV-infected child in the country. So those are the hallmark programs that we have right now. Trickled from all those programs are other subsidiary assistances that we give in terms of education, in terms of survival, social integration, etc. What we had to do though in terms of dealing with the crisis was that we had to, our staff came together as a family, and we suffered a couple of pay cuts, some drastic pay cuts, and that was what took us over the hurdle. like I said, we prayed hard and things just happened. What we had thought that, we weren't going to be able to build any more houses. And we came up with the virtual build idea. And we have built 8 virtual houses this year. And the way it works is that we get people from the States that would normally come, and they would give us the finance, and then we build with them, and they follow us on Zoom day by day. And every day, and they get to meet the recipient, etc. And so it's a virtual build. And we were able to build 8 of them, like I said. All of those allowed us to remain steadfast and to actually overcome that hurdle of the COVID, About the beginning of this month, Christmas coming along, a lot of our people started calling in and said, hand in hand, we can give you anything this year, hand in hand, and we had nothing. Honestly, we had nothing. We were barely surviving. And we said, we had to say no. Around the 8th of December, my wife gets a call, because she's our development director, and she gets a call from a young lady by the name of Sheena, I think, from BEL. And she said, we want to help hand in hand with some ham and turkeys. And this just came just in the nick of time. At Hand in Hand, we have a philosophy that we live by. Just enough, just in time. We don't have a big bank account. We don't have a lot of money. But the money comes just in time to help the people who are in most need at that time. And that's what happened. And from what we got for 55 families, we were able to actually assist 80 families. And so 80 families saw Christmas because of the generosity of people who love what we do, people like BEL.
Restore Belize presently has 2 main programs running. The I Am Belize Scholarship Program, which targets students and provide them with high school scholarships. And the program looks at students from disadvantaged neighborhoods, kids who normally would not be attending high school because their families are not in a position to pay the extra that is required for high school. And the scholarship is not a merit-based scholarship, so these students would be excluded from the normal pool of scholarship providers. So that is one of the programs that we have. For this year, we have 43 students on the scholarship program. We were able to add 19 new students, 18 first formers and 1 third former. The scholarship program is made possible through the kind sponsorship of many of our corporate sponsors and donors. So we have the Belize Natural Energy Trust, BEL, BWSL, Atlantic Bank, Atlantic Insurance, DFC. We do have some private citizens who offer funding. And this year we were able to bring on UNDP as a donor for the scholarship program. The second program that we have running right now is the Trauma-Informed Practices in School. It's a training program for teachers. And it looks at providing them with the tools to be able to recognize trauma in children and work with the children to the point where they are able to recognize certain behaviors in themselves and address those behaviors so that it doesn't prohibit their learning process. So for this year, given our new normal of social distancing, we were able to take the trauma-informed practices training and do it online. And so we did that in October. It ran for 8 weeks and it finished around the 26th of November. And it was done with teachers from 5 schools, Maud Williams High School, Queen Street Baptist, St. John's Anglican. This year we added 2 new schools, St. Luke Methodist and Ebenezer Methodist. And education comes in many forms. But formal education allows you to be invited to the table when it comes to employment. And so as we work to trying to change dynamics of people and their lives, getting them in a position where they can be invited to the table makes them more marketable, and it also makes them understand that their role is not limited to their circumstances.
The mission of the Welcome Resource Center is to provide social support for the mentally ill, homeless, and by extension the elderly. And in this group we also have deportees. That's our mission. What we do here, we provide, like I said, social support. We're not a medical facility. So you get food, a change of clothes, a place to relax, and you also get talk therapy, and if there is need for any sort of medical attention, we do the proper referrals. Our greatest accomplishment is being able to provide 3 meals and an evening bags for the weekends on Fridays. Another thing that I'm very proud of is that we had managed to reintegrate 2 persons back into society with jobs. Today they're still functioning and they're still working. I also am very proud of the connection that I have built with families and friends for the participants, and to reconnect them back with their families at home and abroad. I must say, when I took on the job here as the administrator of the Welcome Resource Center, I had no idea what we wanted to do, but I know that we had to do something that would support this population. And so because I came from an education background, and I used that to help the participant to own the center. Therefore, getting them to realize that this is theirs and they need to help us to take care of it. It's a good approach, because to date we could see the upkeep of the building and the place itself. So for me, I like to say to BEL in particularly, thank you so much for always supporting us. They have always been here for us for our 7 years, and they're always at our Christmas functions and activity. But due to the COVID, it won't be possible, but we know that they will be here with us in spirit.
This has been a very enlightening and inspirational experience in terms of looking at people who are doing great things throughout this country. You know, when the news is all about, you know, the negatives, people dying, and even, you know, people dying from COVID itself, you know, you don't take time to actually look around you and see that you still have people who have not lost hope. I am very relieved to see the Welcome Resource Center there, because homelessness is something that, you know, I truly support, and I think a lot of people do too. This has been a great program. So kudos to BEL, kudos to your team, and what's in store for 21?
We will continue to support our community. We will continue to do everything that it takes to ensure that we are a part of enhancing the quality of life of all Belizeans. And whether it's through our service to our customers or through our support or volunteerism to these organizations and individuals, we remain committed to that. You mentioned one organization that you're connected to. I could assure you that because we are constantly establishing relationships with organizations throughout Belize, our staff are forming similar relationships as what you explained of your own experience that you've had. That's one of the rewards that we find, that sometimes we don't see what's right in front of us. We don't see how we can make a difference. But by being a part of the BEL family and being exposed to all these organizations, sometimes they're brought to us by staff. Say, okay, I live in this community, this organization exists. Please see if we can help them. And why not? They're meaningful to our employees, they're meaningful to our BEL family. We have no other choice but to support them.
This is a really great thing, and I like the fact that you're talking about relationships. It's not just financial, it's also support. Because I know, like for example, the Welcome Resource Center, it's about taking clothing, shoes, etc. that you may have that you don't use anymore. And for you, you know, you don't see the significance of it, but you can then donate those things. And I think a lot of times it's that kind of thinking that is important to get people involved. And so kudos to BEL as an organization, but also to the staff for believing and supporting, because it doesn't take just a leader to say do. It means that those who work as a part of the organization have to support it as well.
One of the other benefits is that we also get to expose our children to some of these initiatives. Because a lot of our community support is rooted in volunteerism, some of these initiatives where we are able to take our children along for them to get the experience of seeing reality for others, and also to instill a sense of responsibility for community, and to also encourage them to volunteer themselves. So it has a ripple effect, and we have to thank our staff once again that this isn't about a company only assisting other organizations. It's about people helping people. BEL is a family made up of over 300 staff, and we also have an extended family, which is our team of contractors that support us. We also have relationships with them as well, and they also help to bring our awareness to the needs of their communities. So this is not a BEL thing, this is a Belize thing. We just want to use this opportunity to thank everybody out there, whether your name was called, whether you're an individual, an organization, or you're still thinking or considering if you should do something. Please just go ahead and do it. It could be a one-time thing, but the reward is life-changing most of the time. It's just being exposed to understanding how a little bit of support can go a long way for a family or an individual.
A great initiative. We'd like to thank you, Vanetta, for sharing all of this information with us. And we'd like to thank those who tuned in to learn a little bit more about the work that BEL is doing with the community, and that the community is doing to uphold itself. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's the most beautiful time of the year. Lights in the streets spreading so much cheer. I should be playing in the winter snow, but I'ma be under the mistletoe. I don't wanna miss out on the holiday, but I can't stop staring at your face. I should be playing in the winter snow, but I'ma be under the mistletoe with you. Shout it with you, shout it with you, under the mistletoe. You, shout it with you, shout it with you, under the mistletoe. Hey now, the wise men followed the star, the way I followed mine, and he led me to America. Hey love, don't you buy nothing, 'cause I be feeling one thing. Your lips on my lips, that's a Merry, Merry Christmas. It's the most beautiful time of the year. Lights in the streets spreading so much cheer. I should be playing in the winter snow, but I'ma be under the mistletoe. I don't wanna miss out on the holidays, but I can't stop staring at your face. I should be making a list, I know, but I'ma be under the mistletoe with you. Shout it with you, shout it with you, under the mistletoe. You, shout it with you, shout it with you, under the mistletoe.